Hello, everyone, and we're back.
Hello.
Hello, Giovanna. We are
Hi.
back with our episode number 30. It's the last one this year, so pay attention. And Lisa, unfortunately, she got sick. She is not going to be able to join us today, but we are keeping her in our thoughts
Yes, we miss
and
you. We
wishing
miss
her,
you,
yeah, wishing her speedy
Lisa.
recovery because, yeah, it's the season. So we're so ecstatic to welcome you, Giovanna.
Thank you.
Today,
It's very
you
kind.
are guest speaker, and we'll just let's dive right into your very interesting career path from the epidemiologist and the COVID
Sure, sure.
adventures to today.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, my background is eclectic, as people have said to me. So I'm a scientist by training. I have a PhD in molecular biology and a MSc in epidemiology. So lots of medical statistics and data analysis. And for many years, over 12, I've worked as a field epidemiologist for outbreak response and pandemic response, pandemic preparedness. Always data analysis for action, for public health action. And then in 2019, I did a pivot, and I ended up doing a course on Python and AI, and that led me to work as a data scientist in a startup that was conducting algorithmic assessments for the public sector, like related to ethics, fairness, transparency. And since then, I also use that knowledge in the health sector, where I've been working together to find like establish the standards on how to document and how to assess whether, for example, medical tools have are fair in terms of what metrics to use and the context. Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. 2019. That's a interesting
Yeah,
year to pivot. What
yeah, yeah.
happened then? I want.
It was before the pandemic, and
Mm,
so basically, I went to a AI conference about AI and health, and I realized that it seemed to me that a lot of there were companies promoting AI tools for health, but it was not clear to me if how they were validated, or if like there was ethical perspective that were taken into account on how it was developed, what data they used, and what was the provenance of the data to develop those tools. And so I got interested, and I realized at the time, this was 2019, right? There were no laws that actually it was a bit the Wild West. So I got very interested because from the epidemiological perspective, we really look at bias and confounding variables to understand, correlations in with health determinants. And so I kind of used that background, if you like,
mhm.
into this AI auditing at the time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was everything. It was fairly new. I mean, now it seems a long time ago, but
I mean, as I like to say, it's like dog years, right? 1 year counts 7, or even more at this point. I feel like a week is like a year.
yeah,
So let's jump right in. So AI
sure.
and healthcare, right? And as a data scientist, I think there's no better place to start talking about, um, the quality of the data
Mm,
and how this quality affects people
yes,
when come
absolutely.
come in close contact with AI models in healthcare.
Mhm.
They're being used pretty much all over the place right now.
Yeah, would you like me to share the slides or?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. Can you see the slides? Okay.
Yeah.
I can show you. So I don't see you anymore, but you can see me, right?
No,
And
I see
you
you.
can
Yeah.
see. Okay.
And I see the slide.
So one of the things I back then in 2019 I got interested in understanding what data sets were used basically to develop tools for health. And so I found out that a lot of the data sets to train AI models were coming from what they call weird countries, Western educated, industrialized, rich and democratic populations, which most of them are from the data sets, that clinical data sets from Europe or US or Australia. And so often these tools are used in other countries with other populations that may have different prevalence of chronic diseases, etc. No? And so this would have an impact then because basically the populations that were represented by the dataset wouldn't be the same ones as the one that where the AI application would be used. And so in the slides, I just wanted to show there's the map where you can see, for example, for this particular publication, the WHO in 2024, the geographical distribution of what's accessible clinical text data sets. So especially for NLP, right? Then you can see from the map that they're like 41 is only from US. So in English. So you can see from this that if we use the data from a small set of places, this may lead to inequity and potential harms. Another example is like they train a data set for a medical diagnosis, and they realized that it was mainly Caucasian people, and there were very few other segments of the population that were represented, or like there were not enough women in the data set, and this leads to this misdiagnosis, for example, like for example the heart disease. The way women have experienced the symptoms of heart attack is different than men. And if the data set that they used were like mainly men, again, this would lead to this kind of problems. Now that it's not appropriate for that segment of the population. So this is a bit what got me interested in the world of AI and auditing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really fascinating. I mean, thinking about that.
Sorry, I
You know
just
what?
go back
Yeah, I
to
was just
the
gonna say.
beginning.
Yeah, one can think when when doctors using AI, they are more powerful. Everybody, people tend to think over rely right on this technology, and they think of if AI is involved, there's going to be no bias. AI will just take care of things,
Yeah.
and everything's going to be evenly distributed. But turns out not so much when it comes to the training.
I mean, I understand why they think that, because they're like, oh, but at least the machine is not biased, it's the human. But the problem is the historical data that has these bias that are embedded in the historical data. So if you don't address it, if you don't check at the beginning, then you might perpetuate, and then because it's AI, then you perpetuate this bias at scale, which is
Yeah.
the
I think
main problem.
if anything, AI and this technology in general just amplified what already was in existence for a while. The
Yes,
male Caucasian type being the
yes,
most representative of everything, right? And I just say a lot of people are not even aware that the symptoms that women have when it comes to heart attack, right? They
absolutely.
vary vastly from men. So someone would say, so what's so what then? All of the pretty much all of the data is just based on white male, right? And
Yes, you're right.
representative. It's
Um,
not matter, but in fact, it does matter, and it has severe consequences.
yes,
And people need
historically,
to be
most
aware.
data that were used, I mean, from clinical trials, historically, they're mainly men, yeah, white men. And now there, I mean, there's more awareness today, and there are initiatives now to make sure that it's the data sets are more representative of the population, but it's taken a while. So this
Yeah,
is a real issue, and also the having data sets that are balanced. No, so for example, if you want to use something for men, women, and children, then you have to make sure you have children in the data set. And it may seem obvious, but it's not. I've been in situations where I had to ask, well, you're using this in children. Are there children in the data set? Um, we haven't checked. This is why it's important to, especially for high stakes AI systems, not to make sure that these things are checked. So
yeah. It's it's like I can't not bring up the movie Prometheus. Remember when we talked about the in our prep call? I'm so sorry, but I'm just gonna say it.
I'm gonna
Everybody knows
stop
this
sharing
movie, right?
because I
Yeah.
want to see you, and I'm very disturbed that I don't see you. I will share
everybody,
again
every
after.
yeah, a little break, guys. A little, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
comedic relief from me.
yeah.
The movie Prometheus, 2012, if I'm not mistaken, and everybody knows the
Yeah.
premise, right? So they're traveling 100 light years, 100,000 light years away to a different planet, the alien life.
Mm,
Everything is amazing, and then the main protagonist is trying to use that very sophisticated and expensive machine to do a surgery, an emergency C-section, right, to get this alien thingy out of her. And you guessed it, that a very expensive piece of technology was only designed to treat men, and it didn't even have it in the
yeah,
programming.
yeah. I
C-section
know.
was not even in the database, so to speak. Talk about that databases, right? 2012,
Yeah.
it was kind of already addressed then.
It was
I'm pretty sure people didn't even notice. A lot of people didn't even
mm,
notice that, but yeah, that it kind of stands out.
yeah,
I mean,
it brings back to the why you need multi stakeholders at the table when you decide to build something, and you need like different perspectives,
yeah,
not just like gender, but like cultural, and because at the end we are building these systems that have often a worldwide impact, but are built by a very small set of people.
yeah.
And if you don't have this diversity at the beginning, then I mean, I'm thinking for the pacemaker that was for women, no, that she
Hmm.
was pregnant, and then the AI thought, oh, there's a problem, but there was no problem. She has tachycardia because the pregnant
Yeah,
women have a different beat, right?
yeah.
But the people that built it at the time,
It wasn't accounted
they
for.
didn't think that this would be an issue, or even like, especially because women, we have like all these phases, no, like childbearing age, pregnancy, and then perimenopause, menopause. I mean, you do need
Yeah,
to take into account these differences. And if you have only men in the data set, or only young women, I don't. You have to. yeah, there's so many
Yeah, I don't
things
think
to
they're
think
really
about.
thinking about menopause too often, and too much, for that
They
matter.
should.
They might now after this live. Start thinking. It's also important, and I think you'll agree with me, obviously, because you're working in this field, that the geographical representation matters as well. It's not only about women being
Yes.
represented, but women and men as well from different countries, that also
Mm.
affects the data set and how the treatment
Yeah, yeah.
will be performed.
Mm.
Because if your data set is based only on the people from a particular country, for example, I don't know, China,
Mm.
and you are trying to use that data set without changing anything and updating it on
Yeah,
anything in the totally different country, you might have a problem. I mean, you might
absolutely.
not, you will have a problem.
And this is why you need all this testing and validating again your system with the population that's going to be affected. And yeah, so back at those times, no, in 2019, I realized it's just there was a disconnect, if you like, between the engineering team and the domain expertise, and often uh, I said, "Oh, did you talk to?" Oh, yeah, we talked to one medical doctor, and I'm like, "Okay, but you need to have more input, right? Like contextual input. Context is key, especially for in the healthcare. You have to have the context because the perhaps you will, otherwise you will have the machine learning systems like maybe learning from the wrong features that maybe are not clinically relevant. And this
Yeah,
is important to
no,
really assess. That's why I think there's a really interesting perspective to learn from the other sectors about auditing. I mean, I think I mean we cannot transpose completely, but because each sector is different,
mhm.
but we have to learn from the good practices.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, there have to be some takeaways. It's not interchangeable. But like you said, we need to take the best from each sector. It's not like you copy pasting and whatever works for you. Hopefully,
Mm.
we have a quick comment from our regular
Oh, okay.
Crispin. Just a thought. What if you took the ground truth data and then augmented it with synthetic data without spending a fortune on new clinical research?
Yes,
What's your
there's.
take? Synthetic data.
Thank you,
Uh,
Crispin. Yes, this is especially clinical data is not easily accessible because often because of the laws, no, it's not so easy to be shared. Let's put it this way. So for data sets to get enough, often you're a bit limited. So no, that's totally a line of research that you can augment the data based on what the population would be like. Yes, that's I I've not done it myself, but I know it's been done, and I have colleagues that
yeah.
are are looking into this. Yeah, especially
Yeah, it's become quite popular
yeah.
using synthetic data. Yeah, and research, be it just completely swapping
Mm,
synthetic data for real data, or using synthetic data to expand and to add to the existing
exactly,
prior
especially
knowledge.
for these segments of the population that are sometimes hard to reach. Or I'm just thinking often the evidence based for the diagnostic tools, but for example, for the elderly, often
Mhm.
the data is not there. So
Yeah,
in that case, if there are like not enough data about them, then maybe the tools won't be as good for them, right? So then in that particular case, for example, then you would augment the data to to help with that, no? But yeah, no, that's a good one. Thank you.
yeah, we there's an there's a comment to that comment. You can see it, right? Yeah. So the
Yes.
segmenting route to data,
Yeah,
synthetic
you
data,
have to
plausible
check
drawbacks. Yeah,
the
that's what we
the
just
bias. Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
much
Yeah.
pretty much talked about. So you mentioned auditing.
Yes. I
I'm
have
gonna
some
quickly.
slides.
Of course you do. I couldn't wait for you to
But let
bring
let
that
me.
back on.
It's just then I don't see you, so it's a bit disturbing. But it's okay. I'll imagine you.
I'll take it as a compliment, not seeing you.
Okay. Um,
Yeah, I can just you don't have to remove them every time. I can just remove
okay.
them from the screen, but they'll stay here, I think, if you share. So we can try it next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want you to just be going through this every time.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to because
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
I can't see you. So,
Mhm.
um, so I can if I can go to auditing. I was gonna have first literacy, but it's okay.
Oh,
Um,
we're totally just messing things up right now. Absolutely.
I can
Elise is
start
not
with
here. She's
literacy.
not here. Elise is not here to keep me in check, so I'll be all over the place.
It's up to you. I can go to literacy. That'll be quick actually, but
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it then.
it's okay. Okay. So yeah, so last time you mentioned let's talk about AI literacy.
Yeah.
So in the context of the EU AI Act, there's a lot of talk about AI literacy. So this is my take on it. So basically, it's not oh you just have a course about what is AI and you give the same course to all the employees. No, first the idea is that people have to understand enough when they use AI in the company, so that they understand, of course, the benefits, but also the risks, and they are empowered to use it responsibly, I mean, in a trustworthy manner, and that's based on the trustworthy AI in the EU, for example, with the guidelines that entail accountability, privacy, data governance, transparency, robustness, safety, human agency, and non-discrimination, etc. And so this is the idea: is that people need to have enough understanding, and it's not per se expressed what is enough understanding. To be honest, I didn't see much detail about this, but this is what I understand from it. And then I think it's important to think about AI literacy, but in the context of AI governance. We cannot think of this without thinking about the AI governance. And AI governance is really a multidisciplinary program, right? You have everyone from legal, privacy, engineering, ethics, product management. So when we think, okay, we have to implement AI literacy, first one has to ask, okay, where are we in the AI supply chain? And then context is key, right? So what is the sector I'm operating in, or jurisdiction, like in what countries? Do we have like a AI use case inventory? And based on that, who is my audience for this AI literacy trainings? No, and very important in the context of the act is like in the use cases, do I have high risk systems? And the reason we ask this is because if you have high risk systems, then you have to take into account the human oversight. So training the people that will be the humans giving the oversight. About this, it's like, okay, are you a provider or deployer? Provider in the act is like, do you make the AI, and if you deployer, do you bought the AI, you use it for example, human resources, AI-based software for human resources, then you would use it in your company, you bought it, you would be a deployer, no? And again, the sector, if it's healthcare, finance, it's not the same. Again, the context is very important. And then who's your audience, no? Depending on the type of employees you have and the type of structure, you would have to tailor this AI literacy training to the specific people that are interacting with AI, and whether it's marketing or human resources. And one thing I heard is, oh, but I am a developer, I don't need AI literacy. And that made me smile, because I thought, no, it's not like that. It's you have to understand how to design and deploy, in line with trustworthy AI. So ethics and data governance, and so you still would need to be trained to understand the regulations. And that's why I put this diagram, like find this inventory of your AI use cases, and then depending on the risk level, you assess the risk, map them, address them, and then if you don't have the AI governance, you develop it based on this, because you'll prioritize the most at risk. And then for the operationalization, this word is hard for me, you would have to train the people, now all the people that are like have an involvement, with the AI systems.
And it's important. It's also important to note for all the curious people out there, it's gonna be ongoing.
Yes,
training.
and it's absolutely.
If you hoped it's just gonna be one PowerPoint presentation.
No, sadly, no.
It doesn't work this way. Yeah, and also it's very, very useful to know that February 2nd, 2025, that's where the countdown begins. And pretty much by February 2nd, 2025, you guys need to be already having some AI literacy in place and start running. But what also interesting is that the enforcement part of this will only emerge later that year. I think around August of 2025, we'll have some, at least some guidance, and in terms of just how those AI literacy requirements will be enforced by the AI office, which is interesting.
It's taken a while. So it's more. It feels it's more of a heads up kind of situation. Like, hey, you should start thinking about these things and have it in place. About the date, I think indeed, it's taken, and this is whether you're a provider or a deployer, and even if you're not high risk. But of course, if you are high risk, it's even more important because of the human oversight aspect, right? But the thing I didn't know, and I realize now, it's not like there's a fine. Like if on the 3rd of February, like you're not going to get a fine if you don't, like, as long as you document that you're doing something and you started taking the steps towards AI literacy in your company. Yes, about the transparency and user understanding, I think this is what's very important for like being transparent about the functionality and the limitation and potential risks, and the instructions for proper use, so that people know exactly like what are the risks, and of course, if they are chatting, like if they're interacting with the system, they should know that it's a chatbot. So that's very important. And about if it's like for the high risk systems, the human oversight training is very important, because you have to have people that understand well how the system works, can identify errors and bias, and can handle situations where the system fails. And that means that if there's like like let's say a stop button to say, okay, now the system is going awry, I guess still have the ability to make the decision. No, like the human should be ultimately the one deciding if things are not working as expected to stop it, right? If it's a high risk. Yeah, and that's the other thing. I think the AI literacy is really not only like what is AI and how does it work, the machine learning and the different type of algorithms, but it's also this aspect that it's for people to understand that it's not perfect. I mean, and the system may make errors, and this can lead to harms. And so having this understanding, no, that helps you spot, maybe recognize, no, that there are problems, and you have to oh, this is not behaving as it was in the instructions, for example. Then you can help like recognize and report it. No? So in that aspect, I think it makes sense. No, to ask that companies and organizations have this AI literacy requirement. There's not much detail on how to do it, though. So there's a lot of people asking, what does it mean? What does it mean? So it's that is a bit difficult, because yet there's no like guidelines on how to do it exactly.
It's definitely not one PowerPoint, as we already established. Just go, be more thorough.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to have a chat and then we let the PowerPoint, or how do you prefer?
Sure. No. We can absolutely chat.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, I see you again.
So I like the phrase empowering employees when it comes to AI literacy. Do you want to elaborate on that? What's your take on that? You think it's obviously it's going to help? Will it help reducing automation bias? What we talked about in the beginning. People have this. It's either people reject this technology altogether, or they embrace it and just rely and over rely, and it never stops.
It's really because I come from the healthcare sector. I feel there's a lot of mistrust when I discuss with the healthcare staff. I mean, there's enthusiasm, but also mistrust, and evidently, it's a highly regulated environment. So it's good to be cautious, but giving them the empowering. I mean, because if you train them to understand the potential caveats, you know, that using an AI based system brings, like there's the upside, but also you have to be on the lookout, because these are probabilistic systems. It's not like software, right? Software engineering, it's very precise. You know what to expect. But with probabilistic systems, sometimes the system doesn't react as it should, and as a user, I should know that. It should be like the company that is making this system should empower the employees to understand that, okay, it's also, as you said, your job to look out for errors, and don't rely 100% on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I read in the news, AI can replace medical doctors and things like this, and I'm like, that's very reductive. You know, you can feed the system a lot of data. You can achieve high accuracy, but at the end of the day, and that comes what comes back to me is this, you know, especially with black box models in sectors like healthcare is very difficult for us because you don't know how the decision was made. So at the end of the day, you don't know what it reflects and how things were decided. And this is not something that should be blindly accepted. And that's why when I say empowering employees, like if they know these things, if they understand, then they will be able to recognize misuse. And this ultimately will stop or diminish the outcome of the harm. Yeah. Do that.
I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense, right? It's not going to just be enough for people to say, or the employees to say, I play with those tools all the time. I use ChatGPT, I do this, do that. But are you able to recognize potential risks? Are you able to red flag? Or okay, here the system did something that's kind of a little fishy. Obviously, hallucinations or confabulations didn't go anywhere. Over time, we've been able to kind of reduce their amount by I wouldn't say like a lot, but it's been decreasing, but still they're out there. And what just came to my mind when we were talking about the employment of those tools in the medical sector, obviously highly regulated and over reliance on those tools in that sector can cause drastic things. And there's been a report a few weeks ago that in one of the hospitals, or several hospitals in the US, they were using this AI note taker, patient notes, when the doctor is talking to a patient, and just automatically the AI was taking notes. And as it turned out, the AI was hallucinating a lot. When output it in the outputs, like all those patient notes, there was a lot of very weird stuff, as they found out at some point after they've been using that I don't know tool for I don't know for how long, for a while, right? But the fun part is all those recordings of the patient's discussion and conversation with the doctor, they were erased, and essentially what you were left with was the note-taking output of this AI tool, right? So you couldn't really compare to the original because there was no original. You only are left with those notes. And a significant part of those notes was hallucinated by an AI. So what does it leave us with, right?
This is
so really many things to look for.
I have a knot in my stomach just listening to this. Like, but this is exactly the point of you need to really have procedures in place, and hence I think AI governance, because it's not AI governance in a vacuum. Like when we say AI governance, no, it's you have the risk management framework of the enterprise, and you're going to add AI to the mix, but it needs to be taken into account. And for example, in this particular like example, I'm mortified that they deleted the recording. That's terrible. Like it shouldn't, like procedures should be in place to avoid this.
I'll find it and I'll send you a link after our chat, because it's
but
disturbing.
Exactly, this is the kind of thing that I'm like, oh. We need to have procedures. Like this.
So let's that's a nice segue for our standards portion of our chat, or the lack of standards.
So at the moment, I get a lot of questions about standards, and so thankfully I'm in the ISO 42001 is now out, and people are starting to implement it in their companies, and in Europe as well, because it really will give at least it's a AI management system, and it's interoperable with the other ISO standards. So I say, even if you're like SME, if you want to do something, this is the way, because at least it will give you like a roadmap, on how to document and have the guardrails in place. Of course, in Europe, we are waiting for the harmonized standards that will help with the legal obligations for the EU AI Act, and they're working on it. And there's the difference with this is that it really has the written in them that you have to care about the fundamental rights and health and protection of the environment, etc. And this is a bit different, right? Because normally the other standards are more about we have to implement them to avoid, let's say, organizational reputation risk or economic loss and things like this. But in the ones that the harmonized standards for the EU Act, you have this extra layer, right? That is there. So, but until then, it's at least if you want to use the ISO 42001, because that is anyway global. It's the way to go, I believe. Of course, coming from like after working as a data scientist, I must say it sounds a bit overwhelming. All this technical documentation, and when you look at the text of the law, it doesn't give you details on what.
Yeah, how specific that documentation should be.
So it's very distressing because they ask a lot of things, but and I know, for example, I mean, for the generative AI, I know that the EU AI office is working on the code of practice, etc. But it's just overwhelming the love for the technical teams. They're like, what does it mean? And just to know, like, oh, am I high risk? I don't know. Like, is my system high risk? This type of questions, from the engineering teams. But again, I mean, it's a process, and little by little, it will the fog will clear out. But it's a process. I can talk more with the slides about this.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Pull up the slides again.
Yeah.
While
bye. I don't see you anymore.
While we're looking for the slides, I was just gonna quickly say that today the EU AI office released the second draft of the
yes
general purpose AI code of practice. It's gonna be a fascinating read. Not too many things very exciting and new there, but a bit of an update and the details.
Oh, you're fast. I didn't read it yet, but
I just started to read it. I'm not even gonna lie that I read it all, but
okay.
I
So
said,
many things are coming out this last week, so it's hard to keep up, huh?
As I said in my post today, I barely managed to read the headlines at this point, let alone just the whole thing that keeps just coming out at you from all directions. And here we have the slides.
Yes, so AI auditing. So I just want to mention that I will talk about AI auditing in a broad sense, just so that people are not shocked if I don't talk about just the technical side of things. So yes, just to say that in other sectors, it's quite the norm to have independent oversight, whether it's in finance or healthcare or safety, engineering, etc. So I don't know. People are very worried about auditing, but I just want to be like, it's okay, guys. It's been done before in other sectors. I mean, AI is tricky, but like it's important to try to check that systems work as they should be. So just again, not to have things in a vacuum, but in the context of AI governance. Again, what's AI auditing is one mechanism that is helping AI governance, no, and so it kind of sits in between the other AI governance mechanism, like the human in the loop, design that are ethical, and risk assessments, algorithmic risk assessments, and it's influenced with by the law, technical safety, and ethics, and it's inspired by the other sectors that already practice auditing for a long time. And so there's this need for AI audits, and it's basically for building trust, so that people have trust in the systems, and if they have trust, they will adopt it. And there are two pressures. One is top down, so from the international community, governments, regulators, and then from the bottom up, from the company that is doing for example, testing and wants to be competitive by being aligned with the laws. No, so the need is really to be able to trust, and so that people use it.
So
And
can
yes,
I quickly
sure, sure.
say something? So talking about lack of standards, right? Okay, we have ISO. Thank God for that. But when it comes to AI systems auditing and red
Yes,
teaming,
we have
there are
no
no
standards.
standards whatsoever. People are doing red teaming however they want. The
I
same goes
mean,
for
they're
auditing.
yes. I mean, they have benchmarks. I mean, at the end, especially for generative AI, I mean, foundation models. Now we have the AI Safety Institute, and there's this network of AI safety
Yeah.
institutes: US, UK, Canada, EU, Australia, I think Japan, and they are agreeing, which is really positive, to like do the testing jointly, you know. So but
Yeah.
yes, the at the moment, no, there is no proper standards. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, proper standards for doing red teaming and auditing, as well as
Mhm.
reporting the results of that, right? What are the
Yes,
channels? What's the
exactly.
procedure there? People are
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
coming up with stuff on the fly as they
yeah.
go. So whatever works for that company, they're doing this. So everybody has their own idea of
Yes, that's kind of
uh,
the problem, because even the companies are saying, "Oh, we are doing auditing, like we have a team in our own company, and it's independent from the team that designed the system." It's still against their own rules and standards, and of course now they'll also, once we have the standards, that the widely recognized one, I mean, then they will do it too. But at the end of the day, this is not public, right? So nobody can know how well it was tested. So, but I can, if I go to the next slide, I can show you a table. Okay, it's the next, but it's fine. I'll just tell you here. So again, who self identifies as auditors? So the range is very wide, and this is why it's a bit complex ecosystem. So yeah, I was mentioning AI Safety Institute, so that would be government, but also investigative journalism, come like ProPublica, that like did the investigation about Compass, civil society like Ada Lovelace, uh, academics are very important. They're a lot. A lot of the evidence-based research for auditing comes from academia, and law firms and consulting firms that also are doing auditing. So it's quite a complex. This is what makes it complicated, when there's
mhm,
no standards.
a lot of players, and
A lot of
everybody's kind of
players,
going different directions.
exactly. And so this is my attempt to explain, because the word auditing is that's why I started by saying I'm using it in the broad sense, right? So if I am a company and I have a team designing and developing an AI system, then maybe I have another team that is separate, that will be my audit team, but internal, right? Because within the same company. So that's what they call internal audit. I found this other wording that is first party
Third
evaluation.
party. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then there's third party audit. Yeah.
exactly. And
And then
then the
external.
second party evaluation, that, let's say I don't have that expertise in my company, or maybe a different type of auditing, I would contract out, for example, a consultancy firm or a law firm, if it's to check for the law. Then that would be the second party. But the thing is, the first party evaluation and the second party evaluation are both paid by the auditee, by
Yeah.
the company that is being audited.
It's still sort of self-auditing in a way, right? For the
Exactly. I
second
mean,
one as well.
it's better than nothing,
Yeah.
but
The bar is very low at this point. It's better
but
than-
is there. Then so I said, okay, assess against quality control, compliance, and the access to the information, no, to the data set, to the algorithm, is, for the first one, is direct, and for the second one it depends. It depends what's the target of evaluation that's been audited, right? But basically, for the first two, they are being paid by the by by the auditee, so they are not independent in that term. Yes, so so in a different way, the external audit, the third party evaluation, is
Mhm.
a body that is not paid by the auditee, so they don't have this contractual relationship, and often they don't have access, a direct access to
Mhm.
the system, which makes things very difficult to assess. And they would assess the system against publicly accessible criteria, no? And
Yeah.
they would work on behalf of consumers or the public or specific groups like vulnerable groups, etc. And this range of independent bodies could be, again, academia, civil society, regulators. So that's why I'm saying the word auditing is being used all over, but it means different things to different people. And I think that's why I wanted to just it's my attempt of clarification.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, that needed clarification, I would say. And there's also we need to mention when it comes to third party auditing, a concern of what are the legal implications for third party auditors, right? Because as of today, they
Yes,
don't really have a lot of
yes,
legal protection when it
yes,
comes to the law.
absolutely. And this is also, it's a bit unhealthy environment if you're not able to audit on behalf of the public and the consumers, right? So this is one of the challenges, actually. Yeah. I just, yes. So again, when we talk about audit, it's used in so many ways. So I just wanted to try to give different ways that it's been used. So, for example, some people talk about audit and they mean really only technology oriented. So, testing the product, the data set, or the algorithm, but not looking at the whole system as a socio-technical system. Just this bit, not just trying to assess capabilities of the system. And then other people talk about audits as a process oriented, no? So really looking at governance, uh, legal aspect, ethics, and so we need both, right? To to
Yeah.
be able to give a picture. But in the literature you find, yeah. So it's, at the end of the day, you need both to be able to say whether a system is working as it should. But it's normal that it's two perspectives. That's what I mean. So in that way, I just wanted to go and have a look again at the AI life cycle and say you can do auditing in the pre-deployment or you can do auditing post-deployment. But of course, post-deployment has been mostly been done by the independent auditors, no, like the civil society or ethical hackers. And if they post-deployment is more like civil society, but the pre-deployment, if the companies collaborate with the academia, when they do collaborate, not always, but sometimes they do, then they do what they call it ex ante, no? So they would, for example, look at the training data. That's what I was mostly in the auditing that I was doing, was more like looking at like data sets and representation and different instances of ethical choice at each step, right? So like, how do you choose the data? Where does it come from? Who's represented? Are there historical bias? Like this type of thing. So this is all the pre-deployment, for example. And then you can look at the post-deployment. And so that would be, you can do audits at many stages, and it depends how thorough it is. When you do audits like in collaboration, if you like, with the company, it depends on the objective. But often if you do it as an independent, not in collaboration, it's not predefined, the objective. Like with both parties, that's what I mean. I don't know
Yeah.
if I made myself clear. I think
Yeah, yeah. So it's sort of like you don't really know what you're gonna end up finding or
yeah,
discovering, so you just don't really have this clear
exactly. It's like if
target.
you yeah, if you do it as a pre-auditor, if you like the contractor, then you would have this discussion with
Yeah,
the client, no, and you'd be like,
we
okay, this is the objective, etc.
yeah, 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 precisely. And can you also, we have like 3 minutes left, but
Oh,
can you
sorry.
also no, 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 I mean, I can hold you here for longer. But I won't. Can you briefly elaborate on the difference between audit and red teaming operation? Because a lot of people are still confusing the two, or
Yes.
just don't
So
even really pay attention.
no, of course. Oh, sorry. So basically, oh, where is? Apologies. So the red teaming would be the technology oriented scope. No, like you would test the capabilities of the system, and this is very important for foundations models, because it's so the pace of which is being developed, no, it's really so fast that even the designers that design these systems don't know what is the capability. And so red teaming is one method within, like, at the end of the day you would want to use auditing encompassing the whole system, not just the capabilities, right? Because
Mhm.
you do need to understand where the data came from, and this is very difficult in generative AI, because often the data is the whole internet. So this is part of the problem, right? And it's a black box. So this is not something like, you cannot say I want my data to be erased. Well, you would have to decommission the whole model, because it's not possible, right?
Yeah.
So yes, so in these terms, red teaming would be in this one, no? It's that part that
Mhm.
is testing the capabilities of the system and being able to based on that communicate the results of how, like, for example, it hallucinates and what can be done, all the methods that can be used to avoid this. This
Yeah,
is,
things that
yeah,
can go wrong. In other words,
yeah,
what can go
and
wrong?
as we
How
were
this model
saying,
can be
yeah,
exploited.
the
Mhm.
the safety of these LLMs in other languages than English is not as good as in English, because the work, the AI safety work, has mainly done in English. So I go back to your discussion about the language and disparities.
Yeah, we started talking about it a year ago, over a year ago, in our conversation with the Marsha Drake. We were back then already talking about, the English language bias of
Yeah,
LLMs. And only today I read another headline of a report. I didn't read like the whole report, but I believe the number was 67% of all the text, the data,
yeah,
training data of the LLMs is English
yeah, yeah.
text.
Yeah,
And that makes you wonder, the way those LLMs see the
the world,
world,
the world.
and,
Yeah,
you know, the output that you're getting
yeah. This
might
is
be
like
just a little bit askew.
this is scary. Yeah. Oh, I didn't see the time. I'm sorry. It's like
Don't pay attention to the time.
it's when you're having fun,
I know, right? And I'm pretty sure we didn't cover a lot what we were
No, I know. I have so much more slides, but it's okay.
Oh my God. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Thank you
No,
so
thank
much,
you.
Giovanna.
Thank you. It was lovely.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun, and I am hoping we'll have you on again next year at some point, because
Yeah, yeah.
pretty sure a lot of developments will take place next year. Every year is
Probably, yeah.
it's getting more intense and more intense. Thank you so
Yeah.
much once again.
No, no.
And
No worries.
Alisa will kill me if I don't do this. Here is our next talk. It's going to be taking place next year, January 16th. I'm not going to tell you who's going to be our guest, so you'll just keep guessing.
Suspense.
Thank you so much once again, Giovanna.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to have you today. And like I said, I'm hoping
Likewise.
we'll get to speak with you
Yeah.
next time.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.